My name is Maddie. This is Nova, our barred owl. She is one of our animal ambassadors here at Teatown, and she loves to teach people about her species, and hopefully by learning a little bit about her species, people will protect the environment that she lives in. So barred owls are crepuscular owls, meaning that they are most active at dawn and dusk. Most owls are going to be truly nocturnal, like a great horned owl. But even though she's awake during times that are a little bit brighter, she has a lot of adaptations for hunting in low light conditions. So she has very big eyes. Her eyes are about the same size as mine are, even though she is much smaller. So if she was scaled up to my size, they would be about the size of a grapefruit. Her big eyes allow her pupils to dilate incredibly wide, allowing in light, and her eyes just aren't big around. They are also incredibly long. Her ears are located the same place ours are, on the side of her head, and if you move those feathers to the side and looked into that ear, you would actually be able to see the back of her eye because it is that tube shape. That does come with some drawbacks though. She's able to see well in low light, but she cannot move her eyes around in the socket, although she is quite interested in herself on the screen there. So to be able to look around, she needs to turn her head, and she's been doing that a lot also because she's a very curious individual. And she can turn her head very far. Humans can turn their heads about 90 degrees or a quarter of a circle in each direction. Some of us are more flexible than others. An owl is able to turn their head much further. They can turn their head about 3/4 of a circle or 270 degrees around in both directions, giving them a pretty fantastic field of view. The reason that they're able to turn their heads so much further than we can is because they have double the amount of bones in their neck. We have 7 cervical vertebrae or neck bones, and she has 14, which really allows her to look around and see what's going on. And it's kind of hard to see, but she actually has a very long neck. A lot of that neck is hidden by her fluffy plumage. And that fluffy plumage is also really important for hunting at night. Her feathers, there we go, are very soft, which gives her silent flight. And the edge of them are serrated like the tooths of a comb, allowing smaller currents of air to pass through, allowing her to sneak up on her prey, which is very important because owls are not fast flyers. They are incredibly slow. They're going to average about 40 miles per hour in flight, but they can go as slow as 2 miles an hour. And they're going to be hunting in thick, dense woods. Barred owls have a preference for hunting in old growth forests. And they're pretty adaptable at what they're going to be eating. They eat a lot of small rodents. They can't outcompete those larger great horned owls that we have in our area. But they also are going to eat small reptiles, other birds. They'll eat, she's looking at the mantle back there, looking for a nice high spot to go. They'll also eat a lot of invertebrates as well. They found that barred owls that will have been eating a lot of crayfish, the pigment of the feathers underneath their wings will actually change to a pink color, just like a flamingo's feathers will change due to the diet of shrimp that they eat. And not just looking at their feathers will tell you what they've been eating. Owls will cough up these pellets of undigestible material that let you know what they've ate. They can't digest fur or bones. So by picking through an owl's pellet, you'll be able to tell just what they've had for a snack before. She is one of my favorite birds because she is so curious and inquisitive. She looks around a lot, but she also listens. So she has very sensitive hearing. Owls are able to hunt completely without the sense of sight, just using hearing alone. They have a large facial disc, that circle that you're kind of seeing around her face, which she can change the shape of by pulling on her muscles. And it acts like a satellite dish. It's going to push that sound in towards her ears. So even though she lacks an external ear or pinna, she makes up for it with that facial disc. Now, these guys like old growth forests. So some challenges that they face is habitat destruction when forests are cut down. They like to nest in the hollows of trees. So older trees are really what they're looking for. And they like to nest in these tree hollows because their eggs are completely round. So this is a screech owl egg, which is smaller, but barred owl eggs will be round like a ball as well, which means they roll around incredibly easily. But that hollow tree cavity keeps it from going anywhere. Some birds prefer to nest on cliff faces like falcons, and their eggs are going to have a completely different shape. Their eggs are going to be long and pointed so that that egg rolls around in a circle and doesn't roll away. The reason that Nova lives at Teatown and not in the wild is because she was hit by a car many years ago. It's very, very dangerous for a bird to be hit by a car because their bones are very fragile. They have hollow bones which shatter into a lot of pieces. It's very difficult for veterinarians to set them correctly. And her bones are fine now. They're all healed up. She has some follicle damage where her feathers grow in. So when they grow, you could see one wing was a little bit shorter there. Her feathers break on that side. So she's missing her flight feathers and she can't sustain flight for any distance. She just goes down to the ground. So Nova's been with us for a number of years. She's been with us a little bit over 10 years, I want to say now. And she came to us as an adult. So we can't really say how old she is because by the time an owl is about 3 months old, they have their adult plumage. They are the same size as an adult, and they're going to be out hunting and taking care of themselves. Very few birds you're able to tell how old they are just by looking at them. It's not like a horse where you can check their teeth and see what the wear patterns are. Red-tailed hawks are going to have a striped tail until they are a year old. And bald eagles are one of the ones that you can tell for the longest because they don't get that distinctive white colored head until they are 5 years old. This time of year, our barred owls are setting up their mating territories, and Nova has a Casanova who comes and visits her and hoots and calls and tries to woo her away, which her roommate doesn't appreciate too much. So these birds are great for our part of the country. They are becoming an invasive species, though, in other parts of the country. Out west in Oregon, British Columbia, all the way down to Northern California, they're starting to make their way over there due to the increased temperatures that we're seeing, more trees being planted. So they're crossing over across the plains, and they are outcompeting the smaller spotted owl that is native to the western coast of the United States. These guys are from the eastern United States, all down the seaboard, from Maine all the way down to Florida. The Florida barred owls actually have a pretty unique difference is that their toes are naked, whereas most owls are going to have their toes covered in feathers, which is because of their slow flight. They don't hit their prey at great speeds. They don't stun their prey, so they need to hold on real tight and then dispatch that prey either by the force of their feet or with their beak. So those feathered toes help to protect them while they are waiting. Down south, they eat a little bit more of the crayfish, so they don't need to protect themselves from rodent bites as much. And they have incredibly great grip. They have zygodactyl feet with 2 toes in front, 2 toes in back, so their prey can't slip away. And a larger owl, like a great horned owl, is going to have the same grip strength as a German Shepherd has while it is biting. So they're incredibly, incredibly strong animals.